Hello everybody, Fate here, and welcome back to the channel. And today, I'll be welcoming you to SDL Season 16 with my Week 1 battle, my Week 1 prep, and before that, I'll be doing my draft recap. So be sure to like the video if you like it, and subscribe for more SDL content, because that's right, we are back. We'll be going full swing, I think, here on some content, at least for a little while, as SDL Season 16 is now underway, and we'll also be doing some other content. So, yeah, with that, let's just get straight into it. My draft consisted of big Ursaluna-Bloodmoon as my first pick. Obviously, if you don't know what the SDL draft board is like, we have a lot of stuff that is allowed to Tera that is not usually allowed to Tera, and Ursaluna-Bloodmoon is one of those guys. So, obviously, has access to the insane Blood Moon move, and then obviously with Mind's Eye, it's pretty incredible. But if you ever find yourself in a situation where Blood Moon isn't going to get its done on its own, or you're going to need to change type to stay in on something, Terra is going to allow you to really do that, and I think that's pretty incredible. I was a little iffy on this, like whether it needs Terra, if it's going to be worth the points at the 20-point marker, but I decided to go with it, and hopefully it will do me good here. Obviously, just mostly a breaker. I mean, it has this really wide move pool, but most of the time you're going to be running Blood Moon Earth Power for sure, and then from there you can run Calm Mind, Hyper Voice, Sub. There's a few other things you can run, but it's mostly just a Blood Moon machine. Now, before we get any farther, I do want to say I do plan on putting out hopefully power ranking videos for each SDL division if any of the players from SDL are watching. So hopefully you guys can look forward to that soon. And then I'll also hopefully be doing just some general week recaps as well for you guys, just where I watch battles and I kind of give you my thoughts on them, especially in the lower divs like Wooper, where I think that could be really helpful for some of you guys. So yeah, anyways, let's keep it moving. Next up, I got Bundle. I really wanted to pair Blood Moon with something fast that will hopefully be able to get it in quite often. And I wanted Greninja initially, but that got taken before it got back to me. So I went ahead and picked up Iron Bundle instead. And I feel like Iron Bundle has more explosive potential than Greninja in some ways, obviously with the speed and higher special attack stats, but doesn't quite have the same utility. Obviously, look at this move pool, it's pretty thin in comparison, but Freeze Dry is obviously insane, and we're going to be able to flip turn and get my boy Blood Moon in pretty often. So I do feel good about this take here in round 2, and I think it'll do me quite well. Next up, Iron Hands. Iron Hands, pretty simple. Obviously, I have 2 really slow guys now, so you can kind of see that I'm beginning to build towards Trick Room with these 2 really, really slow and powerful breakers on the squad. And I feel like Iron Hands is just really incredible to pair with Blood Moon. I feel like they can really break for each other really, really well. Obviously, Blood Moon, like, there is no, like, true check in a sense, because, like, you're looking at you're just looking at a mon that with Mind's Eye, there's really nothing that can possibly switch in when you also have the added bonus of ground stab on top of that. So when you add hands to that equation, it just becomes really, really difficult for the opponent. And then obviously, hands can be EV'd pretty much to do anything. I mean, most of the time you're going to be looking at EVs like max attack adamant with like something in like this range with like either a little bit of speed or defense. The speed is going to be iffy week to week on whether that's going to be minus speed nature or if you're going to want a little bit of speed outside of Trick Room. So that'll change week to week. And then obviously it has a really, really wide move pool if you give it a look at it. So yeah, just pretty incredible mon to pick up there. And I picked up Hatterene. I just feel like it's one of the best Trick Room setters in the format, with Trick Room, and they can also Healing Wish or Baton Pass off the Trick Room to get the guy that you want in. And I think that's really, really helpful when, you know, you're really incorporating Trick Room as heavily as I am. And I think it'll be very, very useful in that. And then I also have Magic Bounce, which I think is going to be really nice because, you know, Blood Moon like has 113 HP, but obviously its def is super duper low. So having Magic Bounce to help deter hazards is going to be really, really good. I think just helping Blood Moon be a bit more of a consistent threat throughout games instead of being like a one-time entrance, and then also going to help bundle, free up its items a little bit as well. And then if you look at the typings that we have so far, we really didn't have a major weakness, I don't think. So I didn't feel like Hatterene was putting us at risk for anything, you know. So I decided Hatterene, pretty good switch, and then take. And then next I got Shaman, and this Shaman is Tera. And yeah, it's probably a little early for Shaman, and I'll say that for sure. And there's definitely rumblings that this pick and then the next pick, as you know, or my draft went a little awry. But I don't quite agree with that. I kind of agree with that, but just ignore that. Anyways, I think Shaman's pretty solid for the price. It's only 10 points, so I do manage to pair it as a Terramon alongside my Ursaluna-Bloodmoon. And I think Tera just gives it that little bit of extra coverage with Tera Blast that it's kind of like missing in some matchups. That'll be nice. Obviously, you know, we'll see whether this is going to Tera that often. But Seed Flare is a completely broken, hilarious move. And if you compare that with some Tera Blast of some kind to follow up on some mods that might want to switch into you, that feels really, really solid. And then obviously you have Tera to help you defensively as well with these, you know, obviously incredible stats, 100s across the board. So I think Shaman's a pretty solid mon, definitely going to help the backbone of the team a little bit as well, as it has like that reliable recovery, just going to help us in grindier games, I think, a lot. And then next up, where the real rumblings of my team falling apart start, is the Toxapex. If you're new to draft, you might think, oh, Toxapex, that's a good mon. That's a good mon. That mon was crazy in Gen 7 and Gen 8 OU. Yeah, Toxapex not generally highly thought of in draft. And it's really just like this 53 and 63, they just like really do not cut it. And yeah, not generally highly thought of. I decided to pick up Pex because of a few things. Obviously, I wanted a water type, and Pex is a water type. Also, grounded poison, which I already said I wanted that like resistance to hazards a little bit, especially as we're coming down here and the rule's not there. So yeah, I definitely wanted that, and I think that was another perk. And like I said, giving that sustainability to the team with the regen and the reliable recovery is also really nice when, you know, I think Hands and Blood Moon, they both like can have a tendency to really, really like just be one-time kind of switch-ins or like get chipped very heavily just because they're so slow. They're always going to get hit first. So I just think they have a tendency that they can get chipped really hard. Now, obviously, this guy has Drain Punch to kind of help make up for that. It's going to heal so much back a lot of the time. But I think the point still stands. So I think Pex, obviously being a T-Spike absorber, is really nice. And then I also was just sort of like looking around at the teams. Obviously, I also demoted from season 15 to season 16. I'm now in Quagsire, the middle div, instead of Clodsire, the top div. And I was like, I think Pex can get a little bit more run down here in the middle div Quagsire instead. So I decided to go with it because I would never take it in a top div, and that's really the main reasoning. I do think like T-Spikes is like also really nice when you're looking at flip turn, a lot with the bundle as well. But yeah, next up I got Kaparaja. This was like probably a bad pick. This is probably much too early, but I really wanted a steel type. I felt like I needed a steel type. It gives me another rocker outside of Blood Moon. which I felt like I needed pretty desperately. And then, it's kind of powerful, pretty good under Trick Room, so I think it fits with the core of the team as well. And then, yeah, I mean, it does have a good move pool as well on top of that. I mean, if you scroll through the move pool, you're like, damn, that's pretty good. Like, that's pretty solid. You can't really be mad at that move pool. But then you remember one thing. You remember that you took a Caparaja. And you're like, wow, that fucking sucks. Anyways, next mon, Iron Jugulus. So the thought process with the Iron Jugulus pick is really quite simple. I felt like I just wanted a little bit more speed because obviously my team is super concentrated at the lower end outside of Bundle and Shaman, and this gives me a nice gap, like a nice little gap between Bundle and Shaman to, help deter those like base 120s from going Modest and Adamant against my team, which will be nice. And Jugulus is like a completely bringable mon, I think, that you have to prep for. And then I also have these two. I have Iron Bundle and Iron Hands. So obviously you see like these are both Cork Drive mons. Jugulus is also a Cork Drive mon. And Pincurchin's still up after I take Jugulus. So that's sort of what I was hoping for, as that happens, as I take Jugulus, because I felt like they could really give me another dynamic to the team, where you have to then prep for like the breakneck speed of Jugulus and Bundle on top of the Trick Room setting potential with Hatterene, Hands, and Bloodmoon, while also obviously giving Hands an extra like attack boost. So I felt like that was really good, and I also just like this typing's insane. Obviously Moltres Galar is like a really good mon, and I really like this typing a lot. So I just felt like Jugulus was really nice. And then I don't actually get to add that extra dynamic as Pincurchin gets sniped from me by I would say quite a cowardly move by one of the boys in the division. I would say quite a cowardly move. I'll say it openly in the video. Quite a cowardly move. Regardless, we then settle for these last two mons that I'm going to show you here. Colossal solid, gives me a spinner, which I feel like is good to have regardless of having magic bounce. You still want a spinner, and Colossal's like viable enough where like, yeah, it's not going to come much, but if it has to come to a game or two, you don't feel like absolutely awful about it when it gets Spikes and Stealth Rock and Willow, and then like it's not super frail or anything, despite it's super like iffy typing, and it does have like a good move pool offensively as well. So I felt like Colossal was a pretty good pickup, and it's something I like to snag late in drafts a lot. And then I decided to get Flygon as a secondary ground type and some extra speed for the squad, because obviously the Ursaluna gonna be terrain a lot, might not actually be a ground type all that often, and so having this Flygon into electric types, especially the better electric types, I feel like it's gonna be really nice. And then it does give me like an actual speed boosting dynamic with Dragon Dance, which my team really does like not have a lot of. Like if you go look at it, like this does not do that. I guess it has Tailwind, so it can a little bit. And then obviously the rest can't outside of Cork Drive Bundle. So I felt like that was nice. Mostly just like the secondary ground type, I feel though, is the best part about picking this up. And then obviously the infinite move pool Flygon is known for. So yeah, that is the draft recap. Biggest tough thing was Pincurchin getting sniped from me. I feel like I'd like the teams a lot more if I had Pincurchin. And obviously, this team is not like me taking it super duper seriously. Obviously, if I was tryharding, I would never draft this bullshit. But we're here now, and this is the squad. So that's the draft recap. Let's get into the week 1 prep. All right, and it is time to go ahead and look at our week 1 prep here against Musa Sensei. Week 1, here we go. Ursaluna-Bloodmoon. Like I said, the core of the team, the best mon on the team here, with Blood Moon, Earth Power, Hyperforce, Calm Mind, Tera, Normal. If we go ahead and take a look at my opponent's squad, this one goes absolutely crazy to everything but the Earthworm, and even the Earthworm we can kind of just muscle through with Tera, Normal, Hyper Voice, get the Throat Spray, and then Blood Moon, and you kind of just muscle through it too. So I feel like this was a really, really solid bring. We also have the CM if we want to boost as well. Yeah, pretty like standard I feel for Blood Moon, but I think that it does go pretty crazy here, and obviously we have the minus speed because y'all know this is a trick room. This is kind of a trick room squad. So yeah, that's what we're doing there. Next up, we got Iron Bundle. Pretty standard set. Freeze Dry, Hydro, Flip Turn, and Taunt. I felt like Hydro and Freeze Dry kind of hit everything I needed to hit here. I don't think I needed the extra added power of Ice Beam. If anything I would Ice Beam, I would just Hydro, and we'll just hit those. No need to worry there. And the Flip Turn is going to help us get our Ursaluna-Bloodmoon in on whatever we needed to get in on. Not that the opponent has too much to switch in to this guy to begin with, but if they do, we always can get Blood Moon or this next guy, Big Iron Hands in. Now this Hands, you guys are looking at the EV spread. I'm probably wondering what the fuck is that, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you. I already played the game. This has already been prepped, already been played. I could not tell you what those EVs do, but that's what got brought, and I kind of designed this as a lead to just kind of try to get the initiative early on the opponent and hopefully allow me to go up in Mons in a prize trade early on. So that was sort of the idea with this, and obviously it can play off the bundle really well too. And then next up we got this abomination of a Toxapex here with Chilling Water, Liquidation, Haze, and Recover. The double water stab plus haze is really built for a few things. Obviously haze goes pretty crazy here with the Gouging Fire and the Goldango on the other team, and then the Chilling Water gonna lower attack stats just to give me something to do in between haze turns. I feel like was good, but in retrospect, Chilling Water probably didn't have to be here. Probably could have been Toxic or a T-Spike, so that's unfortunate. Liquidation just gives you something to be threatening with at all, just to do a little bit of damage in this matchup. Then we have Rocky Helmet Shaman with the Terra Ground, which feels like a solid mon, I think, overall in this matchup, as we have the Terra Ground threaten Goldango and Gouging Fire, and then we also have the Terra Ground to make us a more solid switch into Gliscor, so we're not taking super effective U-turn damage. But regardless, like, that was sort of the plan, was to bring it on that, and then we can Terra if need be whenever that arises. And then we have Leech Seed Synthesis. Leech Seed maybe didn't have to be there, could have been something else probably, and then Synthesis, pretty standard stuff. We are max HP with the speed to outspeed Gliscor. And then Hatterene here, also max Fizdef. Pretty much the only like anything that we have as a stopgap for the Weavile, because pretty much nothing on my team can do it. I guess Pex can do it as well, but there's a lot of pressure already on Pex, so you know, we'll see how that goes. And then we got Deagleam, Psychic, Healing Wish, Trick Room. Pretty standard. We want Trick Room and then get a Healing Wish off, and then either heal up Hands or Blood Moon, or keep the Healing Wish floating while Blood Moon or Hands go crazy, and then get that HP back later on either itself on the Blood Moon or Hands, or you know, give it to something else. So I think this prep is in retrospect not as good as it could have been, but I think could be good enough to get the job done. So let's show you guys the match. All right, fellas, we are back on the dreaded Showdown replay site, where the thing will move through no fault of my own the entire time. But we are here, and the opponent pretty much brings what you would have thought, I think, coming into the matchup. Obviously, the Earthworm here for the Blood Moon as just like trying to be a stopgap for it to do. You know, I don't really think it can do it, but you know, it is what it is. Cyclozar does come, which will prove to be quite the nuisance, but then, you know, pretty standard stuff. Gouging Fire, Weavile, Goldango, pretty much all things I expected. So pretty solid in my team. And then Aloe, just to get some fat there. But then I was looking at the team, and I was like, you know what time it is? You know what time it is? It is time for Iron Hands. So we just lead it, get a pretty solid lead as well. And then we just SD, and we can start going brazy here as they Tera ground, do a bunch of damage. I'm able to get a Drain Punch here, get a bunch of health back, and we pretty much trade hands for Gouging Fire 1-for-1 here to start the game. And, you know, I feel good about that in the moment. But in retrospect, and after talking to Musa, you know, after the game, they revealed their game plan a little bit. And it's kind of like maybe I shouldn't have done that, because if you look at my team, I sort of definitely like have better ways to handle Gouging Fire, you know, throughout the game than they do for Iron Hands. Like I said, on lead, you can see the Iron Hands goes absolutely nuts throughout the rest of this game, whereas Gouging Fire, obviously, I have a whole Toxapex, right, and their Terra Ground, so like Liquidation actually does like truly threaten there as well. And then obviously we have Bundle and Blood Moon, so it can't really come back in on anything either. And Shaman. So you could argue that me staying in here, I think the first Drain Punch is fine because you get so much health back. That like I'm at 70, and like I'll trade 30% to get Gouging Fire down to like 15. But then staying in here, I think, on the second Earthquake to leave my Iron Hands at 25 is really what's rough about it, especially when you consider the Hatterene set that I showed you guys with the Healing Wish. I could have Healing Wished it back, even if it's at 70%, back up to 100, under Trick Room, and now we're really going crazy. So yeah, in retrospect, probably not a trade there that you want to take. And then out comes Goldango, and I see Balloon. I don't really feel like I can risk Nasty Plot at that stage, as if it gets a plot, I am fucked, because I don't have a way to revenge kill it either, because Bundle absolutely needs some chip on it because it is still quite weak for what it is. So that's pretty unfortunate. We do go Bundle though, because obviously we just want to flip turn. And then Alomola comes in. We obviously go Shaman, and then we'll just Leech Seed here on the Cyclozar coming in. Probably should have just been Sea Flare, I'm guessing. We do see our helmet pop there. That's not really going to do anything because of the regen. And then this time we'll Sea Flare as Weavile comes in. It takes a billion. And then we go Hard Pex as they go Earthworm. And you sort of see here, I have a lot of trouble just like pivoting around this Earthworm. I do bounce back the Stealth Rocks there. But then I'm kind of forced to go back to Pex because I don't really have a way to pivot around this now that Hands is gone. And you sort of see how that first couple turns, that first couple turn sequence is really punishing me throughout the rest of this game. Because now I'm really struggling to pivot around and deal with the Cyclozar Earthworm no Shed Tail combo, and they're still comboing me up. And yeah, they're just everything's getting knocked, everything's getting chipped. It's just not good at all. They go back to Earthworm, because obviously I don't have really anything I can do about it. And at this point, I'm just going to Chilling Water and just keep hitting it, because that's all that can really be done. And just going to keep Chilling Water, and I'm just going to keep trying to hit it just so I can hopefully get it into Blood Moon range as close as possible, so Blood Moon can just kill it right after the Throat Spray and stuff. And there's the dreaded movement of the thing there. But yeah, you see me, I'm just really trying my best to pivot around here just to get something done, but obviously struggling a fair amount. As the Weavile comes in, we go Hatterene. I decide like this is probably the best opportunity I'm going to have here. The only unfortunate part is what my opponent did there is the hard Hatterene, or the hard Orthworm on the Hatterene, which obviously makes sense. Like it's fairly obvious my Hatterene can't hit it. Otherwise, I probably would have hit it earlier, because Heavy Slam is like not gonna kill Hatterene from full or something. So yeah, I obviously like probably don't have Mystical Fire, can't hit it. Not sure that does much damage, but Orthworm absolutely positions them in the best spot to deal with my Ursaluna here. But I really don't have another play now that I've committed. So we're just gonna Tera Normal, Hyper Voice, do 40 because the mod is crazy, and then we get the +1 off of that. Body Press does do a decent amount, which is unfortunate, but yeah. And now we're just here, gonna Blood Moon, do a bunch to this Aloe. They flip back, that's crazy. And then Hyper Voice again. And they do manage to stall out the turns there. Pretty unfortunate. Make it rain. Just gonna smack me up there. But if you look, obviously bundle back to full there. If you look at the sort of the situation here, bundle absolutely deals with Cyclizar, Weavile, and Alomola at this point. And so now it's just a matter of, can I position my Pex and bundle to a point where Gholdengo's chip down and I can kill it with bundle. And that's really what I'm going to try to play to here from now on. And obviously I have to flip turn here, not in Hydro range. Hydro range like 65, maybe less, 65 to 55. It's not great for me here. And here I double back to bundle, which does feel like a pretty solid play. Get the freeze dry off, and obviously in a pretty solid spot. I think like I'm playing it so far about as well as you could have asked, at least making that double. And then here is where I potentially mess up, as they, I believe, recover up here. And here we go back to the previous turn here. I freeze dry into it, and it's at 69. And had I Hydroed there, we're like sort of in a situation where it is probably at 60-ish after everything, I'm gonna guess. And then it's like close whether Hydro can kill. Definitely puts me in a better spot here, because now they just recover up. They're at full health with the Gholdengo, and I Chilling Water like an idiot. I think that should always just be Haze. So I think misplay. I have a few options here in this last bit of the game to at least give bundle a shot to where it can be positioned to kill the Gholdengo. And yeah, just didn't do any of them. So pretty unfortunate there, as Make It Rain is going to drop me now, and we lose our week 1 battle against Musa Sensei. Pretty unfortunate. Like I said, don't think I played the first couple turns correctly, and then even at the end, I pretty much, my only way to win there probably was just a Hydro spam on that turn. I hope I don't miss, and just hope I can get a crit or just outroll the recovers, which would have been tough. Would have been tough for sure. But even with, I would say, less than stellar prep, and definitely a really felt like an okay sequence to start the game, but I think rounds out to be less than stellar sequence to start the game for me. Even with that, definitely had a chance to win the game there at the end. So definitely a tough loss to take, but I think many things to learn from, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And be sure to like the video if you like it, and subscribe for more.